Okay, so I'm recording this video right now just for my own sake. If it ends up getting posted and liked or whatever, that's great as a secondary issue, but for right now, I just want to get my thoughts out. So I'm just playing a video game because that's kind of my hobby. One of two main ones that I've had pretty much most of my life. Um, so you can tell I'm a nerd based on my house. I got my nerd wall that has a bunch of like posters and different little figurines and souvenirs and things on it. So anyway, um, so I'm a fan of Christian media. Have pretty much a similar perspective on it, Christian media in general, as Brandon Snipe. I agree with him 99% of the time about Christian media in general. There's a few shows, well, actually, right now, out of the shows that he follows, I'm pretty much on the same page with him about my love of the shows. Like the Chosen is still at number one, and I think in second place is gonna probably end up being um, the Promised Land. Although right now only the pilot's out, so I guess I'll have to put it at number three just because there's not a whole lot to go off. House of David would be number two, I guess, for right now, because there's more content. And then I don't know, two and three kind of go back and forth. It's either House of David or um, the Promised Land. So, and then I'm not really a fan of. I wanted to like it because I like the concept, but the one show I'm not really on the same page with Brandon is this show put out by Angel Studios. The what do you call it? Testament. I don't know. I watched the first three episodes and it's just I couldn't buy the characters as the modern day version of I don't know. It's just like it was too weird for me. I wanted to buy it, but I just couldn't. So I don't know. I'm still looking forward to like the Way of the Chosen when that debuts in a few years. I was at Comic Con when they announced that, so I've ran into Brandon several times. Comic Con being the first time, the second Comic Con they ever held, the one in Orlando. That was the one that I went to for the first time ever. I ran into him, and then from there, I got an invite after meeting Mitch at the meet and greet. I went to the Promised Land. He gave me a registration card at that event because I told him I was a fan of the Promised Land and was able to register to be an extra from that. And so far, that's been my only experience as an extra. I've been wanting to do extra work on The Chosen since pretty much season three, but haven't really had the opportunity to do anything with that yet. So I'm still keeping my eyes peeled for some opportunity, and praying that God opens the door for that before the season ends. But so far, it hasn't really. I have a couple of contacts, but nobody's really said anything. Most of the extra work for the Chosen is pretty exclusive to residents of Texas, and I'm no longer. I did live in Texas for a time, but you have to be a present resident of Texas, I think, in order to count. And I was a resident there like 20 years ago before the Chosen was even a thought. So don't think that counts. But even though I've been to Camp Hobbitzel. Actually, had my first job as a kid at Camp Hobbitzel. Right out of high school. My first job was in the dish pit at Camp Hobbitzel, so kind of a weird connection there, but kind of gave me a deeper connection to the camp before the Chosen even showed up. I had like a kind of behind the scenes, and I don't know if they have a whole lot of connections to Hobbitzel. I think they promote the camp a little bit, and they know of them, but I'm not really sure how the two organizations interface that much, other than they share the same like property. Um, I don't think they're organized like they share the back. They built the set at the site of the camp, like in the back 40 Wrangler, where they used to have the Longhorns fed. They have that's where I used to, outside of doing dish pit work. I was there 2 summers on staff, and one of the 2 summers outside of the dish pit, I was a wrangler, and so I ended up feeding the Longhorn, and so where they ended up building the set was back right in one of the areas that I used to travel on. We called it the mule. It was basically a 4-wheeler that would take out to feed the salt blocks and grass and stuff to the Longhorn. So that was one of the areas I was familiar with, because I remember going out by the hilltop, or I think it's what they call the cabins, kind of. There was a grate there that we used to cross over by the dining hall, and that's one of the ways you can get to set now. But anyway, reminiscing. So basically, that was a rabbit trail. So I just watched a video about Brendan having a friend, Matt. I don't remember his last name, but his passion for Christian media, and basically them being friends and being on the same page with each other about Christian content, and sharing the same heart about that, along with one of the extras that Matt interviewed. Was talking about how the Chosen was like basically a net gathering people, and that God would sort out people later, and I kind of resonate with that as well. So I don't know, I'm excited for being able, future prospects. I'm not sure what my personal role in Christian media is yet. Doesn't seem like God's opened the doors for me in the same ways. The same like Brandon Snipe. I would love to be able to do like what he does, but it just doesn't seem like it's been my calling. So my gifting is, I guess, not been, even though I've always admired the Christian media and wanted to be a part of it, I've never really lived in Hollywood or been able to develop that skill set. My skills are more in like construction and machining, production, fabricating. So I have like hobbies that I dabble in. I went to school for machining, and I did do a 1-year Bible program, but my ministry experience has pretty much been limited to camp. So I had a dad who was a Bible camp director, and so I spent a lot of my youth living at camp, doing or working around kids, not really working with them directly too much. I did do day camp a couple of years, which was fun, but I don't know if that was really my calling. It was kind of I don't know. I didn't really feel like I developed a huge passion for kids while I was there. Like, I like them. I like kids, but they can also be annoying too. I like well-behaved kids. They're taught right, but they're like people. They could be selfish just like anybody else. So I don't know. I feel like I was drawn more towards doing facilities groundskeeping. Um, Never really felt like I found a niche when I was at camp. Um, at least out of the 3 camps that I've been exposed to. So, um, you know, I had always liked film production and following the behind the scenes, and that felt like a kind of a thing that I've always been interested in, whether regardless of me being able to develop a niche within it. Um, but I think that has more to do with like the opportunities and stuff. I never lived in Hollywood and never I moved around a lot. I moved across the U.S. several times, like between Washington, Minnesota, Texas, and back to Washington, and then Florida. I'm currently living in Florida, but most of the time it's been in between Washington and now we're settled in Florida. I've been here 5+ years, which is longer than any other state outside of Washington. Which now that my family's also transplanted here, I don't think we're gonna move anytime soon. If we did, it might be Alabama, but I'm not sure. God hasn't opened a door for that yet, so still waiting. Kind of feel like I'm in a holding pattern for my next career move, kind of just doing what I know that God's opened the door for me. So I currently just work part-time now. I was working full-time, but now I'm down to part-time again, doing working at Papa John's and kind of just plugging into our small group, trying to get involved there. You attend a small church, and yeah, just trying to keep my eyes open for opportunities that are in fields that are kind of in line with my values and I don't know, looking for opportunities that are within, my strengths and hobbies. And I don't know, it's hard to pinpoint down just one thing that I want to do exactly, but I've never really liked the idea of being put in a box and just wanting to like settle on one thing super specific. So I like the creative arts and being creative, making and building stuff. So I've spent a lot of time building models. So I don't know if you can see from this here video, but like I've spent up on top of my shelf there several, probably hundreds of hours assembling little wooden models. So I like doing that. I actually spent during the COVID pandemic um, like 2 years while we were in lockdown, and I was working at Boeing, uh, manufacturing basically a large upscaled version of one of those models that I showed, and basically was kind of stuck home alone a lot, and that was my way to keep my sanity. So outside of doing that in video games and going to work, that was basically my life for 2 years. So um, yeah, never been a super social person, but I like people well enough that are, you know, um, well behaved or decent people, I guess. I'm kind of picky with my friendships. I'm not a social butterfly. I'd rather have a small group of friends that I know really well and intimately than a lot of people that I know widely. So I don't know if being like social media networking is my gifting or calling. So I guess knowing the difference between like what you admire or as entertainment interests, because you recognize it as a good thing that people have, but then knowing that it's not necessarily your strength, which I would say is me. Like I'm not admire people that have that, but I'm not very much a salesperson, I'd say. I mean, I can, if I'm passionate about a hobby or something, I could talk about it and sell it, but I'm not I'm not super outgoing. I kind of keep to myself. Just keep my own thoughts and think through things I like. Anyway, um, so I'm just trying to figure out my next move in life, I guess, in terms of what doors are open. I'm kind of waiting on God to respond. I keep hoping and praying that He'll let me be an extra, but it doesn't seem like it. Struggling with the questioning why He hasn't let me participate if that's been on my heart. Like, it seems like a good thing that I've wanted. So why has it not happened? It's just not time yet because the window of opportunity is closing. And yeah, it's just frustrating me when I watch videos that are posted of people that are able to participate multiple times, and here I haven't even been able to really do it once, not for the chosen anyway. So, and it seems like it's something I could do. Doesn't involve a lot of acting. I don't know. It's kind of seems like a lot of career things are kind of a catch-22, or like making friends. It's like you don't talk to strangers. Well, how can you not text to strangers? They're not going to be strangers until you talk to them. It's like you can't get a job without experience. Well, how do you get experience without a job? So it's like you just have to know the right people and the right time and the right connections and the right place. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I just watch too much TV because there's not a lot to do. Just hoping that I could be more involved in a mainstream way outside of just giving. Like, I'm happy to do that, but I wish I could be involved more directly than I am. It doesn't seem like God's opened the door for that, so I'm just trying to be okay with that. And I've been having a hard time with that, so anyway, but I still want to be like, I resonate with the calling and passion that Brandon has, but it doesn't seem like that has been able to be applicable for me for some reason. I don't know if it's a matter of weight or just not for you, but yeah, anyway, that's my frustration and wanting to be called to something. I don't know if it's just not the timing. I know I've heard preachers say a lot of times the path or the career that He has you in will somehow reflect what He has you do later. Like, for example, there's a guy that I listen to pretty regularly named Steve Gregg, who said his job before he was called into ministry was being a window washer because he enjoyed making things clear to people, and he thought that was kind of a foreshadowing of like what he did. And so, like, I'm not sure I can draw the exact same parallel because my career's changed so many times, but I've kind of gone back and forth between like machining, because that's what like aerospace, and right now I'm doing making pizzas for Papa John's. I'm not really sure if that's going to be a career, but I've been at it for, I don't know, not quite a year yet. But the thing I do the most at the job is trying to kind of stretch to see like what kind of spiritual connection could I make to this. One of the things I do is called patty placing, and it's basically dough prep work with the dough that you work with, where you basically, as the dough expands, it grows and gives off gases. So I basically have to separate the dough, form it so it shifts in transit while it's coming from the distributor. So I have to basically recenter each of the dough on each of the trays so that it's not gonna touch any of the other does so that they're recentered, so they have room to expand and not conflict with each other, and then form them so they're a ball again instead of a glob, because sometimes they shift and get out of form. So that's been one of the main tasks that I've been charged to be in charge of that nobody else does. So I was wondering if maybe somehow that would reflect something spiritual that I'll end up doing, but that's just guesswork at this point, so I'm not really sure. But anyway, that's where I'm at. Maybe I'll be able to participate in the BCU, Bible Cinematic Universe, if that becomes a term or a thing where I can go around and help with the different projects and make sure they're on point. And each team is kind of got their creative center in place, and they're working together. And I don't know, like they have their goals and their ideas in mind, and that I'm not really much of a team leader. I tend to have the gift of helps, I think, and at least I resonate more with that than the drive or the ability to like push my agenda. I guess according to this Myers Strength Finder, I do have the gift of command, but it's like number 10 on the list. It's not the top 5. So, but I don't know. I'm more adaptable than I am at commanding. I'd rather just learn something for myself and do it to contribute to the team and trust that other people are competent to do that too, instead of like and just allowing people to have free will and free range to kind of direct themselves instead of trying to push my agenda on everybody. I don't really feel like that's kind of being bossy and nosy. It bugs me. So I know there's a place for that, but it's just, I don't know. I don't like having to be that guy. It kind of feels like I'm being the bad guy, and I don't like being the bad guy. So I don't know. Maybe if God stretches me and calls me to that area, I could change that. But for now, that's how I feel about it. So anyway, those are just my thoughts in this video. Sorry, it's kind of rambling on for a long time, but like I said at the beginning, this was just kind of for my sake. If it ends up making it online too, and somebody cares to watch it, then good for them. You're a bigger dork than me. But yeah, anyway, that's it for this video.